everybody, and welcome to the Pitch Perfect podcast. We're a flesh and blood podcast that aims to educate, empower, and support the female community in flesh and blood. We're your hosts. I'm Melody, and this is Elaine.
Hi.
So today we have the Malaysian Nationals champion crowned the Brute Queen, the one, the only, Nitya. Congratulations, Nitya. No, don't laugh. It has been a wild ride. Am I right? I mean, you came in like a wrecking ball. You tore your opponents limb from limb on the Alpha Rampage to win the Malaysian Nationals. We love writing that, by the way. Like, you literally
I love
have
this intro, by the way.
Yes. You come in, you smash your way to the top. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell all of our viewers and how you got into Flesh and Blood.
So actually, I came about Flesh and Blood while was walking around this mall with our local game store Invictus Forge, and actually back then, I was like, oh, there's a board game shop, and then I go in, and the guys were like, they were playing a trading card game. And then we just got curious. We were like asking, oh, what is this game? Oh, it's Flesh and Blood. It's this kind of new trading card game. It's really cool, very in-depth. And then they invited me and my friend Mark, who was also like the other finalist, over to the Learn to Play event. And that's how we got started. The addiction all started from there. Like, we attended the Learn to Play event. We really had fun. Well, Mark more than myself. I was getting smacked like for the longest time. So yeah, that's how. And Ricky and Glenn from Invictus Forge, they were really helpful in getting us started the game. So that's how we got into it.
How long ago was that?
That was in November last year.
Wow. Okay, so you haven't been not too long.
That's not long at all.
I know. Yeah, no. And also, how cool that you and your friend who learned together were the two finalists at the Nationals. That's so cool. I know you said board games, like you were excited about a board game store, and I'm a huge board game fan myself. That's what I was really into before I started playing Flesh and Blood. But was Flesh and Blood your first TCG, or did you play others before that?
This is my very first TCG. I've heard of Pokemon and Magic, but I've never tried any of those trading card games. So I came into Flesh and Blood like really new.
Awesome. Okay, Melody, kick us off with our first topic today, which is going to be
Nationals,
right? Nationals. Like,
it's what's on everybody's lips. I mean, it's been just over a week now, right? Just over a week. And you're probably still coming down from the high of winning Nationals. I mean, your win on Rhino caught everybody's attention, but particularly the Brute mains all around the world. We've got the Brute class, which include not just Rhino, like we've got Levia as well. And they've always had quite a loyal following. Huge. There's a huge group actually of Rhino mains in New Zealand. And despite not being a top meta deck, your win has been really inspiring to a lot of players. And I mean, Elaine and I were talking about it, and you could kind of compare it to Yuki Bender, right? Like, she performed really well with Lexi, and it inspired all the rangers to dust off their arrows and load up their arsenals. And now there are huge amounts of people that are like, cool, we know that our hero can win, and the same goes for Rhino. So how do you feel about being recognised as the Brute Queen and the influence your win has had on Brute mains?
First off, really touched that like I am compared to the Yuki Bender. Wow, that's incredible comparison. But it's really strange too. Like I've seen it on the Brute Discord, and like trying out the Brute Queens list, and it worked out fine. And I'm just like, wow, it's crazy. Like, and actually, so after Nationals, someone messaged me and was like, hey, what do you think about my Brute deck? And I was genuinely touched. Really it's super surreal. I'm still like processing that like I've won, and I'm so glad that because I heard that a lot of people are playing on Talisha right now. They're picking up Rhino, and because Mark also practices on Talisha, and he sees my cadaverous contraband tech, and he's like, "Are you playing the Malaysia Nats list?" And they were like, "Yes, we're trying it out." And
That's
I'm like,
so cool.
"Wow, that is yeah, it's so cool." So yeah, I'm really glad more people are picking up Rhinar, and oh yeah, super touched that you guys asked me for this interview as well. Want to choose as well. I mean it's crazy, but yeah, I'm so glad like people are picking up Rhinar, trying what I believe is a really fun hero.
Yeah, you kind of like opened up, I think, a lot of people's minds to Rhino like being in the meta right now. So, so we're filming this for our audience. We're filming this today was the last day of Canadian Nationals. So Tariq Patel just won Canadian Nationals, but in the top 8 of Canadian Nats, there was 2 Rhinors, and I just think it's kind of funny. I haven't seen like Rhino decks really in nationals until you took
No.
down nationals, and now it's like now there's 2 top 8s in a national. So your success as nationals has not only provided representation and fired up brute lovers everywhere, but it's also honestly it's done the same for women globally. I mean, it's so cool to see you as a woman go take down Malaysian Nats because you're now one of only 2 women that have
2.
ever won a national championship, which is so cool. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank
Huge
you.
congratulations. But tell us, yeah, I guess you kind of covered this, but has that side of like the impact of winning Nats kind of resonated with you at all? Like, how has your life been since winning Nats, like in that aspect?
So it's really strange, right? Because like I walk into my LGS and everyone was like clapping, "Woo, Brooklyn, good job on winning that!" And then I walk into work and like nobody knows this game. It's it's a great like okay, yep, this is reality. Like at work, nobody knows. Even when I told my dad, I was like, "Yeah, I won," and he was like, "Congratulations!" It was like most typical Asian parent ever. He's like, "Good job," and that was it. So yeah, but you know the attention and support from the community has been incredible. I really love the support over from the Malaysian community, Ricky and everyone over at Invictus Forge and my team Crack Bubbles. Like at the present moment, I'm just enjoying my win.
I love it.
So do I. Are there any other women or females that play at your LGS or that you know of in Malaysia? Just out of interest?
Yep. So there are 3 other women that are playing actively. So you have Sophira. Yeah, she's been a bit busy lately, so she's been missing a few armories. But there's Sophira and there's Sutin. She was playing Kadachi Phi in Nats, and we also have Claire. Just starting out, she's playing Phi as well. So yeah, quite a few women. I'm really hoping more women show up. Obviously, we're happy to have more representation over the Flesh and Blood community. So yeah, that's all we have so far right now.
So that's 4 women out of how many do you think? Like,
I think like maybe 40 to 50 players.
That's
Yeah.
pretty good. 10%, I'll go with that.
yeah,
Not bad.
Yeah, right?
I'll take it.
Happy
Yeah.
to see it.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
you said that there was a couple of them in Nats with you.
Yeah, I actually played the second round against Sutin, and we were complaining. We were like immediately sat down, and how is it like the only 2 women at this tournament happen to run into each other round 2? We were like, guys, this is rigged. How did this happen? We want to see we want to see both of ourselves succeed as well, right? So we were just like, man, this is really upsetting to run into each other.
Yeah, definitely.
So what kind of do you have any advice for other women or girls that play Flesh and Blood who might be thinking about getting into competitive play?
To me, so I think it's really important to have goals. So like you're setting yourself, like maybe you think to yourself, okay, I'm gonna start small. I'm gonna maybe be like top 20 at a tournament and then like top 8 at the next. But at the same time, like remember, this is your hobby and you're having fun with it. For me, I set like those little goals and like, let's try to win this armory today, or top 8 would be fantastic. I mean, like my goal for Nats, like I didn't even think didn't even think I was gonna make top 8. I was just more than happy to be like top 20 or something. But then even if like it didn't work out, I was telling myself like it's okay, because you can just think about your losses and what you could have done better and then try to do better next time. um and if you do win, you take those wins and you're like, okay, we keep it going. And I think that, and really the community is what I feel plays such a crucial role in developing a supportive and welcoming community. Like again, props to Invictus Watch. They like developed such a community that, because I have a bit of like social anxiety, so I was quite shy in the beginning. But once I joined my team, like the experience completely changed. Like I felt so welcome in the community. And what I really love is that they were supportive when I won. And if I lost, they didn't come down hard on me. They were very supportive. Like, we think this is what you could have done better. And let's just work on that together. Yeah. So I think for the other women and girls, if you're considering it, yeah, just set little goals for yourself and just remember you're having fun. This is a hobby. And
Yeah.
like it's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I mean, when I was on a competitive team, I felt the exact same way. Like shortly after I started playing, I joined a team like very shortly after. And yeah, it was just great to have that support, because I also have struggled with like anxiety, social anxiety, and so it really just kind of helped push me into Flesh and Blood and make me feel comfortable right off the bat. But so we're kind of curious about the like your competitive history in Flesh and Blood. Was this your first major tournament, or have you played in like callings and other large events, and how'd you do at those? Because I mean, kind of also, just like Yuki, came out of nowhere with this.
Yes.
Like,
I'm in like a wrecking ball.
yeah.
My first major tournament would actually be the Calling Singapore. So yeah, I actually managed to make day 2. It was very surprising to myself as well. Leading up to it, I was really not performing well for CC format. So I was just like really busy at work as well, and I was just like, oh man, I'm gonna go to calling and I'm gonna be so bad over there. But then I decided, like, hey, let's just have fun. It's okay. Because like a lot of people who've been playing longer than me, and even they were like, we're just happy if we make it to day 2. So I was like, okay, if these guys are setting their standards there, let's manage my expectations a bit. Okay, I'll be happy if I win like 4 games, something like that. And then on the day itself, I went 3-0 in draft, and then won 2 of my other CC games, and then like at one point, I was sitting next to Nick Butcher, and I was like, I'm here. I am sitting next to like I was drafting with Matt Rogers the next day, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, that was it. So like, so making it to day 2 of Calling Singapore was like incredible for me. I was super happy with the performance. Yeah, I was like, me, I'm in day 2. Holy crap! Yeah.
Look
yeah,
at you
that
now.
yeah. Yeah. So those are the two big tournaments. I've joined other like ProQuest and stuff like that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, for a lot of people, like national champion is the ultimate competitive goal. We're really curious what your competitive goals and aspirations are moving forward. Worlds?
I would love to go forward. So actually, I connected with James White on LinkedIn, and he just dropped me like the most encouraging message I've ever read. It just made my day. He was like, Congrats on your win. Will we be seeing you at Worlds? And I'm just like, oh my god, this is the pinnacle. Like there's it's just all downhill from here. But yeah, so I can't go to Worlds. Unfortunately, it's a bit too expensive. I think for Southeast Asian, we heading over to US is going to be really crazy expensive. So I do hope to someday make it to Worlds. I hope there's one next year. Or even to a pro tour. I would love to attend one of these events in the future. So that's kind of like my competitive goal, like making it to maybe like day 2 of a pro tour. So yeah, it's but I think that's like all for the future. To me, I'm just like enjoying my win. Hey.
It's only been a week, so yeah, wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so soak it all in. You deserve it.
Yes.
James White, like he wished Melody happy birthday, like Melody's birthday was yesterday.
He did it in Te Reo Māori. He did it in like my language. Like it was so amazing.
Yeah.
He's so cool.
That's so
every time I see him interacting or hear about him interacting, it's always so wholesome and just like.
Yeah, this game is amazing. Like the community is incredible. Yeah.
All right, so now that we've talked about the success and your winnings and all the impact it's had, we're going to dive a little bit more into the gameplay aspect of Nationals. So let's break down some of your matchups for Nats. But first, you want to briefly walk us through how you prepared like for Nationals, because your first huge CC event, like you just said, was the Calling Singapore, and that really wasn't too much time between Calling Singapore and Nationals. So what was your testing and preparation process like that?
So post calling, because Nationals is just CC, like our Nationals is just CC format. So it was a lot of practicing on Tabletop Simulator with my teammates and other people from the community as well. I also practiced on Talishar. Occasionally just try. I mean, yeah, sometimes you run into people like running like the jankiest decks, but it's funny, right? You gotta get used to like, because you never know if someone's gonna come on that day and bring a KO out of nowhere or something.
Yeah.
So like practicing those janky matchups are great too. Yeah, Rhino too. So I also discussed matchups with my teammates Benjamin and Kayang, and also as well as Jose Lau. He's a fellow Brute player from Singapore. So like leading up to a week from Nats, it's like discussing, okay, so what do you guys do into Icelander? What do you guys do into Oldhim? What do you guys do into Jomai? So it's like just discussing all those matchups was briefly how I prepared. I tried to attend as many armories as I could. That's also kind of a 50-50 because like I was not doing well in armories. I would just walk away with one win at the end of the day. I was like, oh well. but there are lessons to learn still from the losses, right? So yeah, that's how I prepared for Nats.
Okay, and so like on the actual day though, how did it go with your matchups and games? Like, were you confident and comfortable in them, or was there any sort of struggle, or did you just sort of smash your way through and reach the top?
I was doing good in the beginning. Like, so I won against both versions of Fives first. So the Kadachi Fi and the Everblade Fi. And then I ran into my first Briar and I was like, oh man, this is going to be rough. Because it was Zishan. So he's a really good Briar player. And I was like, okay, I set myself down. I was like, okay, I'm ready to lose. It's okay. But then I won with like back-to-back blood rushes, and I was like, oh my goodness, wow, holy crap. And then the next game was against last year's national champ. He was playing Jomai, and I was like, okay, you know what? We've done our best. It's okay if we lose this. And then because like prior to this, I actually lost twice against him. Like I haven't beaten his Jomai up to that point. And he breaks my scabs on turn 2, and I was like, holy crap. But then I win. And I was like, oh my god. Yeah, and that was just the hype because like I lost to my other two preliminary games after that against Dory and then Briar, but everyone told me, well, you still won for your first four games, so you're definitely still gonna make it into top eight. And then I prepared like based on the seeding, I got Icelander first. So then like I talked to my teammates. Shout out to Cockbin, he's a really great Icelander player as well and a Bravo player. So he like gave me some advice for the Islander matchup. And then I played against the same Dromai player again. And then of course I met my friend Mark in the finals, the guy who started out with me. Yeah. Then yeah,
Oh, cool.
we're both very familiar with each other's decks, so I was like, oh wow, this. But even before the game, we were like, dude, we both made it to finals. It's just crazy. Yeah. So
Uh,
that was the experience. So it was definitely a bit of a struggle at the beginning prelims. It was really rough. My losses to Dorinthia and Briar were really, really bad. But yeah, just recover.
I love like the player history too. That you have like the Dromai player you'd never beat before that you beat twice that day,
Yeah.
former national championship, meeting your friend in the top eight. Like I love the stories along the way. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Was there any particular matchup that you were worried about going into Nats, and that you tried to sort of head yourself into that matchup favorably?
So Briar and Viserai were the worst matchups for like prior to Nats. It was very difficult to win those matchups. I felt like if I won, I high rolled them, and I see back to back blood rushes. Like nobody's gonna do anything against that, not even rune blades, right? So
Mm.
I really tried to think. Okay, so the issue here is Briar and Viserai are gonna hold on to their hands because they are going to maximize their damage output per turn. They're just way more efficient than I am on a 3 card hand, right? Because you do things like morph into shrill. Here's 7 on hit rune chance, and then I come in with a Rosetta 2, 2, and 1. It's so efficient.
Mm.
So what I tried to think about was like, okay, you want to hold on to your hand, so I'm gonna try to make you block. So my plan was to race into them. I just committed to the gas version of Rhinar. I put in all the pulpings, the wild rides, all the sixes, and of course you have Erase Face, which is so great against Viserai. Not
Yes.
that great against Briar, but at least one of it works out. And of course, my Cadaver's contraband because like no one in my LGS like lets me hit that. Like no one lets me take back the Blood Rush Bellow, and I take that as like that's a win. Like the Briars and the Viserais are blocking because they don't want me to let me have another Blood Rush Bellow. So that was just how I thought of the matchup. Like okay, let's incentivize the Briars and the Viserais to block
Mm.
until I get them low enough, and then I can kill them with Blood Rush Bellow or like an all intimidate hand. So yeah, that
Were
was
there
how I
many
thought about it.
Viserais at Nats?
Actually, surprisingly, despite that being my most concerned about matchup, that they actually like Malaysia's meta was so wide, so I think there were maybe
Mm.
5 Briars and 5 Viserais. I didn't run into any of the Viserais at all. I just ran into the Briars. There were. I think I ran into more of the fives as well, but it was
Mm.
okay because I did prepare for the ninja matchup with Fates and Sinks, so I was ready for them as well. Yeah, so it was quite alright. I feel.
Okay. All right. So you we already acknowledged it, but you won a national title on Rhinar, which is a deck that is kind of a dark horse. Not when people ask, oh, what's top tier deck right now? No one says Rhinar. So how
Oh,
did
not
you
even, they
like
used to
feel?
say that.
I was saying that used to not now, but how did you feel like going into a tournament with Rhinar with a deck that like was not really considered top tier meta deck. Like,
So since I started the game with Reinar, it just feels the same because like I throughout the Starvo meta, the Chain and Prism meta, I still played Rhinar. So like this is a deck. Yeah, this is a deck I've known for like months. I've been playing for months. So I honestly felt okay going with Rhinar. I knew what my playlines were. I knew like what matchups, like what I want to do for certain matchups. There were several I was underprepared for, like, and I was not prepared for Dory, for example. But um, going into it, like I told myself, we get into top 8, we're happy. If not, hey, we just did our best. So I just wanted to play like my best games, and I wanted to end the day like being happy, like I did the best of what I could for each matchup, and that I played to the very best of my ability. So that's how I felt about it. But it's pretty interesting, right? Because like we see now, like top 8 Canadian nets, there were 2 Rhiners and their decks. I've already seen the deck list. It's so different compared to mine. They're running sigils of solace. They're running Savage Feast, and it's incredible. Yeah, so it's like there are so many ways to build Reinhardt, and I'm so happy that we are coming in and we are showing you like we're somewhere up there, man. I mean, we're maybe not S tier, but like we can threaten you. Reinhardt's 50-50 into everything, and we're proving that. Yeah.
It's so cool to see like these decks win that everyone's not like, oh, this is the best deck, I'm gonna play this deck. Like it's really cool, and I think, in my opinion, what makes Flesh and Blood such a good game is these decks that it's like, really, if you have the knowledge and the reps on your deck, and you have the knowledge of how your deck is going to perform in like your matchups, then you can take down the tournament. And that's like, that's really cool to me, that you don't always have to have the best deck to win. As long as you're really knowledgeable on it, you can
Yeah,
pull through.
absolutely. I love that story too. It's just like you play and practice your deck, and you're rewarded for it. That's the best part
Yeah.
about Flesh and Blood. I feel like you're really rewarded for going through your deck, playing with it, knowing what every card does, knowing what like your threat density, what's left in your deck. It's just so rewarding for all your
Yeah.
practice and your strategy.
Yeah, definitely.
So, is there anything you might have done differently, like in terms of your preparation or gaming on the day, or do you think you're pretty prepared?
I wish I tested a little bit more for Oldhim and Dory. I mean, I was fortunate enough not to run into those matchups in the end anyway, but I do wish like I had a chance to prepare more. And in terms of like on the day itself, so like I actually had a friend's wedding to go to that night. So in the back of my head, yeah, literally like as soon as my last game against the Briar ended, I was like, okay guys, I gotta go. I'm running over back to my hometown, and it's an hour and a half drive, and I still gotta get ready for the wedding. And I was like, oh my god, I was like all over the place at the end. So I do feel that I really could have played better towards the end, but it's just that at the end I was already like, oh my god, I gotta go to the wedding. So yeah, I really wish I played better those last 2 games. But yeah, it is what it is, and I still made it, so I guess it's okay.
I would have been like in the best mood ever at that wedding. Like,
Yes.
I just came from winning a national championship.
Oh yeah, totally. The first thing as I sat down, I was just like, guys, I'm top 8, and they're like, top 8 at what? Oh right, I haven't told you. I'm playing Flesh and Blood, this training card game. But yeah, I'm top 8.
And they're like, oh, hurry up, get to the wedding now.
Yes, exactly. They're like, you're late.
Like, oh my gosh.
How many weeks beforehand were you preparing? I should have asked the question earlier, but was it like 2 weeks before, or always preparing?
I want to say like I feel like because like the preparation I feel starts from pre-calling. So I think I did take a bit of a break 1 week after calling, because you don't want to get burnt out, right? And I do set myself a rule. I don't attend more than 3 armories a week, because I don't want to get burnt out, and I don't want to feel like the game has...
I know.
Yeah.
I need to step up my game.
Yeah, okay.
Why do you guys go for armies every day? Do you have them every day?
No, we have one a week
No.
where I live.
I say we don't actually. Where I've been living the past like month and a half doesn't have any. But I'm about to move again, and I'll be back in the armory scene. But before that, I went to like 2, maybe 3 a week. But
Oh, I
You guys are
see.
living in
that wasn't like an option.
So you do online armories, or where do they have? Is it like really
Yeah.
popular where you live, you guys? Like, well, more Nitya. Like, how can you attend 3 armories? Are they online or?
I know they're physical. They're physical. We have enough game shops now. It's great. You could technically attend. You could play Flesh and Blood every day. It is now to that level. You could play Flesh and Blood every day if you wanted to. There's a Blitz event on Tuesday. There's Armory on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There's a commoner on Sunday. I think Monday there's also another armory somewhere in KL. But yeah, you could go every day if you wanted to.
Wow.
I'm moving in, so
Okay.
You know where you want to move though? You don't want to go to Singapore. They told me they have 3 armories on Saturday and 3 armories on Sunday. You could literally play Flesh and Blood all day long if you wanted to.
oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
It is. So yeah, that was my prep. Like just sort of playing a lot of Talishar online, playing TTS, Tabletop Simulator with my friends, and going to armories. They're great practices. Yeah.
All right. Aside from winning the entire thing, what was the biggest like highlight from your nationals experience?
The biggest highlight is definitely going to be my win against Mark, for sure. In that particular fashion, like discarding Beast Within from Reckless Swing, going down to 1, and then here's my second Reckless Swing from Arsenal. But I mean, some background, because like I actually had been losing to Mark's Bravo, because Mark's Bravo's a little different from the standard Bravo decks. He's a little bit more aggro. He's playing with E-Strike, so his game plan is we're not going the second cycle. I'm going to chip you in the first cycle with my pummels, with crippling, dominated spinal. So prior, a few like armories before that, I have actually been losing quite frequently. So yeah, but we talk quite frequently about our decks, so we're very familiar with each other's decks. So I kind of tweaked it a little bit with advice from other people, but we were like talking to each other, and we were just like, let's just play our best. Both of us being in finals is a huge achievement, and we were both agreeing like we'd be happy no matter who won it. I'd be happy if he won. He'd be happy if I won. So yeah, and of course I know it made for like a really exhilarating finals is what I heard. It was really touching to hear DM Armada going like, holy crap, that was a great game of FAB. So yeah, that was incredible to hear the feedback from the community.
Yeah, I think it's important to sit down, talk with your friends if you're playing your friend in the final. Be like, hey, like this is awesome. We're both here. Good luck. I'll be happy for you if you win. So I was thinking about it, and like at ProQuest and stuff. I've been in the position where it's like, okay, you meet a friend, and maybe I'm already locked for top 8, they're already locked for top 8, and this is like my win it in or their win it in, and so the other one's just like, hey, I'll concede to you. Let's both move on to top 8. But I've never actually like met them in the top 8. Now I'm thinking like, how I've only been in the situation with a friend where like, usually we're not in the position where we're forced to play it out. So one of us just kind of like concedes respectfully. But if you're in the finals, there's no conceding. You gotta,
No, there's not.
Yeah, no,
you gotta battle. You gotta battle it out. So.
I mean, literally, like the first thing I said was, "You're playing seriously, and I'm playing seriously. We're gonna play our very best here. Like we gotta show them what's up,
Right,
Yeah.
just play a good game of Flesh and Blood and be happy for whoever wins. Yeah, that's awesome.
So we want to wrap up with some of those warm fuzzies, Nitya, because clearly you've got a really tight community. You started with your friend Mark walking off the street, and it sounds like the Malaysian community is fantastic and supported. Like we've obviously watched the stream, and we've seen the photos on socials. Like I watched your match. I heard you'd won because Elaine messaged me and was like, "Who is this?" And I'm like, "Who is it? Oh my god!" And then I went. It was before work, and I was supposed to start work, and I'm like, "Nah, I'm watching this match." So I watched the match before I started work. It was a little bit late, and like at the end, is it Ming? I can't pronounce it. I don't think I've got the names right. Anyway, the commentators, like it's this really close match, and then you win, and you just see you drop your cards, and it's like you jumped away from the table, and they're just like, broke queen, and it was incredible. Like it was so cool, and it was a great start to my day. But like clearly, you've got a fantastic community. Like, tell us a bit more about your community, if you can. Like, is there any like really awesome parts about it, or are you guys really tight? What's the community like?
The community here is absolutely incredible. Everyone has either been really helpful or like super supportive. Because like I was a bit intimidated when I first joined, but there were really friendly people like Glenn from Invictus as well, helping me build my Rhino deck in the beginning. I remember he was the guy like I went to. I was just like, oh, do you have Red Record Romp? Things like that. And he really helped me build my deck. A guy, Barry, passed me some pummels, and Ben, who's now my teammate, he was like the only other person piloting Rhino at the time. And I really felt like, oh, wow, I have someone else to talk to about the brute struggles because it was really rough for us in the beginning. And I just shout out to my team at Crack Baubles. They really made me feel welcome into the community. My team captain Kayang, who's also a brute player, different type of brute. He plays like 9 pummels. It's a terrifying brute.
Well, that is terrifying.
9 pummels. But yeah, so like talking to these people, having the opportunity to discuss, because these guys have been playing for a while, so like their experience really shaped up like my thoughts about the game. Really showed me like the depth and complexity about the game, and how we can, and it's just like the experience from the community. Everyone else, the commentator, like you said, Ming Yu and Juan, they're so helpful, such kind people. I was really blown away by the community, and what I love, it seems to be kind of like an experience all around too. Like everyone in the worldwide Flesh and Blood community seem to be very welcoming and very supportive, very helpful. I think what a huge testament to like not just the local game stores like Invictus in Malaysia, like everywhere, and the game that James White created, the LSS team created. Like what an amazing community! I have no words. Like it's just so incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with just what you said about like LSS and just the community worldwide as a whole is just probably. I mean, I've been in a lot of different communities throughout my life. I'm sure like everyone has, but the Flesh and Blood community is just next to none. Love it so much, so welcoming, and watching like Melody already explained. Just watching you win Nats and hearing everyone like shout "Brute Queen" was
so
just
cool.
Such an incredible moment. Like it literally gave me goosebumps. I'm not lying. It like chills. I was like, "This is the coolest thing ever." I mean, wow.
I was tearing up, man, as I heard it. I was just like, yeah, because like I jumped up from the table and I went over to hug Mark, and I was just like hearing the chants "Brute Queen," and I was just like, oh, I couldn't even look at anyone. I was just like looking down, like almost crying. I was just so touched.
I would have been bawling. I'm like, so cool. All right. Well, speaking of the amazing community we have in Flesh and Blood, we're going to move it on to some listener questions. Questioners sent in from our community. So, yep.
I think so. Lots of these she's answered. Hey.
Yeah. So the first question was from Colin, and that was about your game plan into Briar, which we
Covered.
really already talked about in quite detail. I'm gonna jump to the bottom. Melody, we just kind of jump all around. But this was Moonside Man. Adam D asked Nitya, pretend that winning nationals offers you the chance to choose a card that becomes the future Armory promo. What would be your choice and why?
Ooh.
Oh.
Future Armory promo. Can I have an extended art swing big? I think I would love that. Yeah, give me a shiny a shiny extended swing big. I would love to like pitch a blue and then like hold one card in hand, play my swing big, and then like and have Tunic up and be like, haha, would you like to guess if this is a pommel? I would love that. Yeah, give me an Armory promo swing big. I would love that. Yeah, and then I tempt you with the quicken. Like I like to do that. Like I just play the swing big and like I take my quicken token and I'm just like, wouldn't you like a quicken? Like I tempt you, we're just like, here's a quicken.
You're hilarious.
I know. I'm like, I love this. Oh my gosh. All right, Melody, pick one.
I've got one. So this is from Daft Prentice, and we've talked a bit about. Obviously, you started with Rhino. Rhino's been your main since day one. What drew you to Rhino? Was it like the mechanics, the art? What was it, or was it just somebody handed you a deck and said, "Here, try this," and you've never looked back?
Actually, I was handed a Olivia deck, but I did not like it because I kept dying to bled them. So I was like, okay, here's 7. Oh wait, -1. Oh, I'm dead. But yeah, I honestly, to be very very honest, it was actually the cheapest deck to start out with because Rhino, you could literally work without Tunic, you could work without Arcanite at the time. There were options to go around it, and you only really needed scabs. And I remember that being about like 240 ringgit, so that's like $60 US. But what kept me sticking to Rhino was the dice mechanic. Like I love it. Like I'm just rolling, hoping for the best.
I know. Loves of your ability.
Yeah.
I'm just here like I remember when Prisms was still around and like people were so mad because I would roll 4, 5s and 6s and they're like, is your dice rigged? Like let me test it out, and they roll a 1 and I just roll after that and it's a 4 and they're like, dude, what's the point of even siding Gambler's Gloves against you? There's just no point. You're rolling 4s. Like it's so fun. Of course, if I roll a 1, then I'm really upset. But like,
you got the magic touch, you know.
Yeah, but it's fun. The variance and the dice mechanic just means that like Reinhardt can really explode if you play cards like Rolling Thunder and Bad Beats. Like really fun mechanics. Really janky, but I mean, who doesn't want to say, here's a swing big for, like, let's say I roll a 6 on Rolling Thunder and I roll a 4 on Red Bad Beats. That's like a 6 plus 5, 11. Yeah, here's a swing big for 19. I mean, that's like if everything goes well. There you go.
I think I'm like a little bit of a just kind of like, I don't know if OCD is the right word, like type of person, and like the rolling of the dice stresses me out. It feels chaotic. But like I just introduced one of my really really good friends into Flesh and Blood, and he's like we're kind of total opposites in that way. Like he's very just chaotic energy person, and I was like, I don't want to play this hero, but I know you would love this hero. And like he loved the dice rolling and everything, just like you did. And I was like, I knew it. I love it.
I think we brute players just embrace the chaos. We're like, yes, there is the chaos. We roll with it. Like we want to navigate our way through the chaos. Yeah, it's super fun. Yeah.
it's not for me. The chaos stresses me out, but I love watching people just sit there like roll a six and they're like, all right, let's do it. Here's
Yeah, that's what I love about it. I love playing rhinos and they're rolling sixes, and I'm like, yeah, let's go, hit me.
It's so exciting. I'm like, being the Rhino player would stress me out, but playing against Rhinos, I'm like, what do you got? Give it to me, you know?
I'm the same. I love it.
Yeah. All right, our next question comes from Bryn from the Banished Zone, and Bryn says, what was your mindset going in? Did you psych yourself up like, I am going to win today and be the national champion? Or were you like, I'm just going to go have fun and try my best? Were you completely shocked to win like I would have been? Which I think that's a fun question because I would have been.
So like I actually really don't perform well when I'm under a lot of pressure. So that's why I always try to like take some pressure off of myself. So I was like trying to tell myself, yeah, let's just have fun. I know winning's fun, but like let's try to also enjoy the process of playing the game. So I always try to like calm down. Don't put so much pressure on myself because I do feel that pressure occasionally. I remember going into calling and I was like really stressed out because I was like, oh my god, what if I'm like, what if I'm going there and I perform badly and it's just like, yeah, you know, women in Flesh and Blood don't perform well. And my friend was like, calm down. First of all, you don't represent womankind just because you win or lose. And which is great. You need that slap in the face sometimes. yeah. And so it's like, yeah, you gotta calm down, just enjoy the game. So when I like walked into top 8, I was already like if you could see me at the wedding, I was just screaming in joy. I was just like, hey, hey. And with every win, it was incredibly surreal. Like if there was any pictures, I'm just like holding my face, like, oh my god, I am moving on to semis. Oh my god, I'm moving on to finals. Yeah, I was just enjoying every step of the way. It was very, very incredible.
I love that. I it's as funny as it is. It's like just because you're a woman who plays Flesh and Blood, like doesn't mean you represent all of them. I also have felt that pressure before, where it's like, oh no, I'm doing really well. I have to keep doing really well because I'm the only woman here. Like, it really doesn't matter if I win or lose. Also, like all the events that I performed my best at were actually events that I decided to play like last minute, or that I was like, I don't think I feel like playing today, and everyone's like, no, you should just sign up, play, and then I'm like, okay, fine, and then like win the whole event. Where for the big events that I'm like, test, like so much pressure, let me learn everything. I always show up and I'm like, yeah, throw the entire event. So I think there's something to be said about just going in as your most relaxed self. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I think some people perform really well under pressure, but like I'm not one of those people. So I have to chill. Before going into a tournament. Yeah.
Yeah. It did, like physical tasks, like I don't know, like painting something or like making my cosplay. I find that I perform better under pressure, but like homework type, like things I need my brain for, I need to be relaxed.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I think that's it for our questions because like we've kind of been covered already, yeah?
Let's see. Well, yeah, this one comes from Mercat, and I think the first half of the question just kind of asked. The second half is what was Nat's like, which we talked about, obviously. But the first ask was, what was your experience like playing in the road to national events? You know, I think did you qualify your first one, or was that kind of like a struggle to get to nationals?
Oh, I did not qualify. So there were 2 RTNs for Malaysia.
Uh-huh.
There was one for draft and one for CC. I did not do well for the draft portion, I remember it was really, 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 really bad. So the thing about draft is I think there's intricacy to it. Like there's reading the room
Mm.
and reading what your opponents picked, and I was really bad at that. So and also because I was only comfortable playing Fi, so I think I was just forcing Fi. I could not switch to another hero, but I also took it as practice for Calling Singapore, because Calling Singapore had a draft portion, right? And then after that, I learned Icelander, so I could at least have the option of two heroes. So, but my RTNs were really poor. I think in CC as well. I only think I ended the day with like 3 or 4 points. I didn't even make it to top 8. Yeah, so my RTNs were really poor, but I think it's also just like opportunity to always learn more. Like I feel like that's how I approach the game. It's just what do we learn? What did we learn today? What did we learn today? I try my best not to be salty, not to be like, oh my god, no, the dice roll screwed me over. No, no, we try to always think like, okay, was that actually the correct timing to roll? Right? Like it's your own fault. You chose to roll
Yeah.
when you weren't supposed to. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's how I approach the game, and yeah.
Awesome. All right, Melody, take us away.
All right, cool. So we're going to wrap it up now, Nitya. And before we do wrap everything up, we like to ask our guests one question. And that question is are there any topics or content or even people that you'd like to see us host on the Pitch Perfect pod in the future?
So I know you guys are a podcast, but honestly, I would love to see you guys play some games. I am so curious, man. Come on, like let's see it. let me see a Rhino. Let me see like what hero do you guys play? I mean I think I love what you guys are doing. Having more content that like speaks to the representation, the diversity of just showing like women that hey, it's not just a male dominated sport. There is representation and diversity in this game. I think it's great. So I mean I love the content that you guys are putting out. I just love that this podcast exists. So yeah, you guys are doing great to me.
Well, thank you so much. But we have been getting the I want to see you guys battle it out comment a lot. When we were
licensed.
That is not true, Melody. We have an even record because Melody and I have played games. We have played games, not videoing them and not on stream, but we have an even record, win lose record against each other. I'm pretty sure.
It was 1-1 on the side.
We were talking about this last night. Yeah, we were talking about this yesterday when we were writing the episode because we asked for listener questions and we were just kind of checking everything from the podcast, and we had questions both on our last YouTube video and in our Discord that was like, when are y'all gonna battle it out? And we were like, oh my gosh. I was like, maybe when we hit we'll have to figure something out.
Yes.
Melody.
Or you could host a women's league of Flesh and Blood or something. Like let's gather all the female players, man. Let's have fun together.
That's something we are doing. Isn't it, Elaine?
Ooh,
It is in the
nice.
works. If you're not in our Discord too, you should join it.
Oh yeah, totally. I will.
All right, well, thank you so much for being on the show today. This has been an absolute joy. You are hilarious. I've loved talking to you.
Like, energized and like it's clear you love the game, legit. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
I do it.
So we want to give you the opportunity as our guest to plug yourself, let everyone know what you have going on, anywhere they can find you if you want to be found. But
I do not have socials.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I'm happy to plug you guys. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Thank you also to One to Juice for having me on their show. It's incredible. I will be happy enough to join you on your Discord, and of course, if anybody wants to find me, you can add me on Discord. I'm happy to discuss my deck with anyone or play with you on TTS if we can. I love that. Yeah, the game is incredible. I love having more opportunities to play, and thank you so much for having me. Really.
Yes, go watch Nitya on 1-2Gs also, listeners.
Yes.
I didn't get to finish it, but I started your episode today. I love 1-2Gs. They also put out just really cool content and also just like really funny content. Like I love the sketch work they do. It's just like
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
great.
really different than any like a lot of the other content that's going on in Flesh and Blood. So it's fun. Check them out also. But yeah, thank you so much for joining
Yeah,
us this
thanks for
week. I look
joining
forward
us.
to just getting to know you more. But until next time,
Thank
bye.
you.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.